told y'all, don't laugh at my drags. So I got a handful here, and I'm just gonna give it a toss up in the air. So guys, at the end of this video, stay tuned to the end of the video. I'm gonna give you a couple of tips that'll help bring those more mature bucks out into the edge of the field where you can see them during your hunting season. What is happening, people? Hey guys, so in today's video, I'm gonna go over the poor man's food plot. Now I'm gonna show you a few of my food plots that I have on this particular lease, go over how I do this, keep it cheap, keep it simple, and draw some deer. So guys, stay with me, and I hope you enjoy the video. So one of the first things that you need to do is field prep. You need to get your field ready. Now what I elected to do is I brought my tractor over and I bush hogged. The weeds weren't bad in this field, and all these food plots weren't bad except for in certain places. I bush hogged it pretty tight to the ground, turned right around, and I brought my tiller and I went over it with my tiller twice. And what I'll say about using the tiller, many times when you're using a tiller like in your garden and it's real clean, it'll pack down really hard after a hard rain. But if you have a lot of filth on your land, like weeds and grass and debris, that tiller will till that grass down in the soil, and so the soil is more fluffy and it won't pack quite as bad. So that's what I used here on this field, and it done a pretty good job. You can, if you have a disc, you don't have a tiller, you can use a disc. And what I'm gonna elect to do, I'm gonna drag the seed in with my four-wheeler and my homemade drag. You guys don't laugh at this. Hey, a cultipacker, the cheapest one I found is like $850. And that's just too expensive for no more than I use a cultipacker. Don't know anybody locally that I can borrow one from, but anyway, don't laugh when you see this drag that I made. I have used cedars before. That's definitely a poor man's drag. Dragging those seed in. But anyway, so I'm gonna get started and I'm gonna drag this field. I'm gonna drag this seed, put a little dirt over top of it. Hey, wait for the rain. Let's go to it. As you can see behind me, here is about 1/3 of an acre, and it's shaped kind of like an A. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna be planting wheat, rye, and the oats. And I'm gonna break it up in sections. So I'm gonna step over here. You can see some of the tire marks here going across the field. So I'm gonna plant in sections wheat, then the oats, and then the rye, instead of mixing them together. So it's no rhyme to reason. You can mix all of these seeds together and let them come up, but I'm curious about what the deer will prefer. So I'm gonna do a section of wheat, a section of oats, and a section of cereal rye to see which one the deer may prefer. May not be any difference whatsoever. How they grow, the soil is poor quality soil, just to get an idea of which grows better. So let's get started with that. Okay, see here? This is how far I broadcast over here. So I'll use this run here and I'll lap this back over as so. So I got a handful here and I'm just gonna give it a toss up in the air. If you got a little breeze, that actually helps you. It'll help spread the seed. And see, I'm actually pitching seed over there approximately 10 feet away. So just a tip, when you're hand broadcasting, these seed, there's no rhyme to reason. Get down enough seed to where it covers it fairly good. Since we're dragging it in, our germination is not going to be really great. We're hoping for about a 65 to 70% germination rate. And so you just try to overlap your seed so you don't have a void in the field. It's not going to be perfect. Don't worry about it. It does not have to be perfect. And I'm finished with that field there. That's about 1/3 of an acre. In a matter of about 20 minutes, all the seed is down, and all I have to do is hook the four-wheeler up in my drag and drag over it. So one of the reasons I call this a poor man's food plot, we did not do any soil sampling. I know some of you are going to say you got to sample your soil. I know this is poor soil. This hunting lease, I may not even have it next year. If you own property or you have a lease that have multiple years, you can afford to do soil samples, get your pH at the right level. You can plant these patches, get multiple years out of them. I'm electing not to plant clover. So I elected just to do these winter cover crop seeds. The deer get browsed during hunting season. The wheat will provide a small head next spring. Hopefully there'll still be some green around, maybe for some turkeys if there's turkeys around. So if you have a spot you don't know if you're going to have next year, you have to just avoid putting a lot of money into those food plots. But we want to add some food plots just to draw the deer herd in closer. You draw more does, more fawns, of course you draw more bucks in. That is the main purpose that you're going to do your food plot. So in my food plots I have, so on this particular piece of land, the biggest food plot I have is about 1/3 of an acre, 1/4 of an acre, something like that. I have a 1, 2, 3, 4 areas that I will be putting seed down, and these are spread out over this particular farm. And when you're putting your seed out, remember to go put your seed down moderately. I have 2 bags of wheat, which are 50-pound bags, 2 bags of rye, 2 bags of oats. And so I want to make sure I cover all these food plots. So I'm going to go and put it down moderately. And then if I have seed left, after I get all my food plots covered, then I can utilize the rest of that seed and go over those particular areas, or just save it for another food plot at another farm. But I'll utilize all of this seed here on this particular farm. So just remember that. That way you don't run out of seed and you wind up having to go back to Tractor Supply or wherever you gathered your seed. That's just another tip that I have learned over the years. We don't have any special spreaders. This is my spreader right here. And if you're worried about toting a 5-gallon bucket around, just don't fill it up as deep. Fill it about 2/3 or half, something that you can tote comfortably. Broadcast the seed out. It does not take that long. You don't need any specialized seeder. Hey, and if you got one, more power to you. So I told y'all not to laugh at my drag. So as I said earlier, a Cultipacker is about $850 new. And so basically what I did is, of course I have a length of chain here, and that's a piece of dog fence. My fence runs this way, and then I had some old log chain, and that's just sections of log chain that I put across it to give it some weight to let it drag. And you can see it's doing a fairly good job here, rolling that dirt around. You can see here. So it's doing a fairly good job. And so if you make a homemade drag, hey, this ain't rocket science. So if you make a homemade drag and you see that it's not covering the seed that well, hey, just go back over the second time, right? Hey, let's get this drug in. You know, one of the best places you can have a food plot is tucked away where it's narrow. You got some canopy around it. You notice these trees here, trees on this side. This food plot is about 85 or 90 yards long, no wider than 25 yards. A mature buck feels secure in a spot like this. He's not necessarily going to come right out across the middle of the field unless he's chasing a doe. So keep your food plots in the corners of a field and keep them small, and even plant them in strips and just leave natural vegetation up in the strips, and give that buck the ability to stay secure and you still be able to see him when he comes out. Many times during the rut, a buck will cruise the outside edges of a field and just smell for does, or he will come right out to the edge of the woods, just exposing his chest and his head, and look that field over to see if he sees any does or any other bucks in that field, and he'll slip right back in the woods. I don't know how many pictures I've got of bucks doing that, come right up to the edge, never come out in the field, and fade right back. They stay there just a couple of minutes and then they're gone. So keeping your food plots narrow and in the corners of the field, out of the way, little narrow strips like this one that you see behind me, is one of the best ways to entice a mature buck to come out in the opening so you get to take him this year. I hope that helps. So guys, we're getting ready to end this video. I hope you've seen something in the video that you enjoyed. I hope you've seen something in the video that helps you in your food plots. You remember, God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's free. Hit the like button. Click the notification bell so you don't miss an episode of Wildlife Adventures. And as always, you remember, it's a wild life, and I'll see you in the field.